which is okay. So you're recording it now.
Are you recording to the cloud?
Yes.
um, so yeah, I mean, we have so in terms of national things, we have a lobby day coming
It's
up.
freezing.
It's not freezing for me, so maybe it's your
I
computer.
think, Margaret, it's your internet connection, maybe a little flaky.
Oh dear.
I know mine has been earlier today.
Anyway, we're hoping to have a lobby day in July for the Norton bill in Washington. So I don't know. I mean, none of you are very near Washington, but if you can get down there or know anybody, we could try to bring people in on Zoom. We just had a lobby day today, in fact, in Boston for our state bill to set up a nuclear weapons and climate commission, which, by the way, we're really hoping, you know, Oregon and California and New York will all do something similar. And we did manage to have a couple of people come in on Zoom. You know, we bring a phone or a laptop into the meeting and set them on the table, and so we can try to do that.
Yeah, please.
But we're gonna be handing these out all around members of Congress. I mean, this is basically the argument for supporting the Norton bill. You know, I mean, basically. As I said, we've got this bill in the State House in Massachusetts, and we have a Massachusetts Warheads to Windmills Coalition that's a bit more established already. And then at the local level, you know, we're really going to push this fossil and fissile divestment idea. So, you know, divest from fossil fuels and nuclear weapons. A few cities have done that already, including Corvallis, Oregon, and Berkeley, and Northampton, Massachusetts, and a few others. But we could really push that and get some more cities and more faith communities and colleges and so on interested in that idea. But our goal is to get more climate groups and more young people. That's the whole goal. So we'll see how that goes.
So the fossil and fissile, which I saw in my notes, my written notes, and I couldn't remember what it meant. So it's not in the notes that I typed up from our last meeting. I'm sorry. But is there a sample resolution for that? Where they both mention fossil and fissile in the same thing, in the same document?
I don't know if anybody's done it simultaneously. Yeah, but they did it at separate times. You know, I don't.
Right.
I don't know if anybody's done it
together.
But there is an international movement working on this with Susie Snyder from ICANN. And so, yeah, I don't think there is a model resolution. We'll have to work on that.
Okay. So up till now, people have done separate resolutions, one for the fuels and one for the nuclear stuff, right?
Yeah. I think, unless Corvallis did both at once, I can't remember. I know.
They divested from military weapons.
Military weapons, okay.
As I haven't actually read the whole.
Can you talk to Susan? Just 1 second.
So Tim, I just want to clarify for myself.
Yeah.
I've heard there's a summary of the Warheads to Windmills document.
Yeah, that's what this.
That's the summary.
The full book is coming out in June, and it's going to be much longer with all the references and the charts and the data to back up what we're saying. This is all full of pretty little pictures.
Yeah, the graphics in that.
Hold on, just 1 second.
Huge improvement over the original one.
Sorry, what was that?
I said the graphics in that version are a huge improvement over the original one.
Yeah.
They're really nice.
Vicky did all the graphics. So
good for her. Tell her I really like them.
Thank you.
I just got to send the link to Susan Mirsky, who's trying to join this call, apparently. And I don't know why she doesn't have the link,
You
but
can't find it.
let me just get the.
Yeah, usually she's here.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
she wrote me and I just saw it a little while before the meeting saying, are we having a meeting? And I said, yeah, the agenda went out a few days ago. And I guess for some reason she didn't get it. Maybe it's in her spam or something.
Yeah. Well, I just sent it to her, so hopefully she'll join us in a minute.
All right, good, thanks.
But she was at our lobby day. We just got back, a few minutes ago from Boston, from lobbying for our state commission bill.
Mhm.
Cool. Yeah, a lot of us clear our spam several times a day to avoid that kind of problem. Keep it clear.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I should get in the habit of doing that because I've missed a couple things lately because of that.
Yeah, a lot of people do not.
Okay.
So
So
that's-
Tim, what do you think the prospects are for getting a robust representation in this coalition from the climate change side?
Well, as I said, I mean, our two big targets right now are Greenpeace and Sierra Club, which would be big.
Yeah,
I mean, Sierra Club has like 2 million members, and of course, we're trying to get AOC on board with this. She signed on to the Norton bill, but she won't say anything about it. And if she would just, go public, it would make a huge difference. As would Dolly Parton, as you say, or any of these people. So, but other big environmental groups, the Environmental Defense Fund, I think World Wildlife Fund, Sunrise, they've all signed on to other things that we're trying to work with. So, for instance, do you all know about the Earth Bill, which is the Green New Deal is a resolution that was put in again by AOC and Markey, but the Earth Bill is a more comprehensive bill, which is not got much chance of passing, especially under the Republican House. But I mean, it's a very, very comprehensive.
there's Susan.
There's Susan.
Yeah, never got it. I checked every place.
Sorry, did everybody else get it?
Yep.
Yeah, don't know.
Yeah, right.
So there's a whole bunch of groups working on the Earth Bill. They're having a meeting right now, actually, at the same time as ours. But I've been to some of their meetings. I'm hoping to get them interested. I've mentioned the Earth Bill in this report. There's Mothers Out Front, which is another group. We're having another webinar on June 24th, and we're inviting another set of climate groups to talk about what will it take to make the transition to a green economy, in terms of electricity, heating, and transport mainly, and trees. And so I'm trying to get some of those climate groups more engaged with that. And I think there is a shift, I think, with the climate movement, because it's completely at a standstill because of Ukraine. In fact, it's going backwards. The whole climate agenda is going backwards right now. And
Right.
so people are waking up to the fact that, you can't just focus on climate and solve the climate crisis. It's not happening right now because of Ukraine, because of hostility with Russia, because of all the other things going on. And so I think there is a chance. I mean, it's not guaranteed, but I think there is a chance we can get a real collaboration going. And that would be a breakthrough. We'll see where we go from there, but
Well, I think this is early days, Tim, and I mean, it sounds to me like you're trying to reach all the right people, and just because you turned down or ignored once, don't give up.
oh yeah, no, we don't give up.
I didn't think you would. So let me understand you. The climate director of Greenpeace attended the meeting on Sunday.
No.
No.
No, this was the webinar that we held on May
Oh, the
7th.
one.
I don't know who was there. She was
Okay,
she was one of our main speakers.
speakers, okay.
They
Mhm.
didn't come. They didn't come to the meeting, and nor did Sierra Club. But I'm still working on them.
Okay.
And as I
Well,
said, we have some local climate groups in Massachusetts.
Mhm, mhm.
And so, for instance, if you could get some of the local climate groups in Palo Alto or whatever, that would be
Right,
another
right.
way. I
Well,
mean,
I,
Diane, who came to your meeting the other day, not in place of me, but because I suggested that people from our group go,
yeah,
is a very active member of 350 in Salem as well as our group.
okay,
And
good.
so she would be a real good connection in
Yeah,
Salem if she can swing them around. But way back when you first put out, when you and I first connected a number of years ago, um, I put together that slideshow about
hmm,
warheads to windmills and took it to the 350 group here in Salem. And they all liked the slideshow quite a bit, but they all said, "Yeah, I think we're going to focus, just with the bandwidth we have, we're going to focus on climate change." And I
yeah,
couldn't get them to, make the switch, even though there are a number of folks in there who are peace people
yeah.
in terms of their orientation, including Diane. But Diane's the only one. Well, no, there's one other, Kim Davis. Also, there's two people in there who are really starting to make the switch, but I don't
Mhm.
know if they're going to be able to bring the rest of the group with them.
Yeah. Well, as I said, I mean, I think things are shifting a bit from
Mhm.
4 years ago, and hopefully we can get some of them on board. But we'll see.
so, yeah, apparently, um, as I told you, Wilf has a whole, what we call the Earth Democracy
Hmm.
subcommittee, right? So I'm in the disarm, but then dealing with climate change and environmental degradation and poisonous PFSs and things, we have an Earth Democracy, and somebody came to your meeting for that.
Hmm.
But apparently, they have been working on our next Peace and Freedom magazine, which is our full scope Women's International League magazine. It's going to all be about climate and militarism. And she said she's got lots of good articles in there, and it'll be coming out in a month or two. So I will make sure that, and then usually there is a link to see that online. If you're a member, you get a hard copy. Anyway, maybe in that magazine we'll find some more links, and
Hmm.
it's convincing these people there is a link. I think is maybe the barrier to changing their minds. And I'm hoping in this Peace and Freedom that you will find some convincing evidence that there is a link.
Hmm.
Did
Well,
you did you talk about the campaign in MAPPA?
No, I haven't. What, explain about that, because that's another development.
So related, MAPPA has decided to, because we have so many issues and so many working groups, to focus on a few campaigns that we would put all of our energies into, or intern and whatever energies into. So we have a campaign on Ukraine. We have a campaign on um, just in
Economy.
essence, fund healthcare, not warfare, or the peace, so the peace economy, or right, economy. And then the third is the twin existential threats of nuclear weapons and climate change. And some of the discussion around around this campaign, and lots of discussion in groups, the strategy committee on the board, was the relevance of these three campaigns and the relevance of the peace of the twin existential threats. And some people said, well, you know, I we're never going to get, right. People are very active and involved with nuclear weapons, but the climate movement will never get on board, has not been, and will never get on board with sharing and seeing that ultimate connection. So there is that whole discussion, and listening to people with, oh, they should know better. Of course we see this connection, but there it was talking about it. And and this is, maybe this is a waste of time because those climate people will never really.
Did they say why they believe that?
They say they haven't, that the climate people have not really embraced the absolute connection with nuclear weapons. And
Well, we
that-
know that they haven't, but you said
Right.
that they never would. And did they explain
Well-
why they said they never would?
well, they're saying, no, they won't. And so why waste our time?
Oh.
But it did pass. But, there was one person who said, oh no, voted against it for that reason. But some people have said, well, the climate people are never really gonna, not just the climate people in MAPPA, but the environmental people in Massachusetts who work for different environmental issues. They are never really going to jump on board and work for nuclear disarmament. So this is just starting, and we will keep you tuned into what happens. But it's a struggle.
Well, just
Yeah.
to one comment on that is that, and I know I can't speak for what's gone on in the past or what other groups have done, but I think the key is not that we're trying to convince the climate people to join us, but that we have to address these two existential threats, and so we're helping them work on climate. And whether or not they help us, the point is we got to work together. And I think if they, if climate people see that we're actually, helping and adding value to what they're trying to do too, then I think that will make a difference. I mean, I'm already quite active in our local climate group here, and they're totally on board with this. Climate Action Now in Western Mass.
Yeah.
And I think, and Kathleen's very involved in Mothers Out Front in wherever that is in Boston area, and they're also sort of coming around. So I think being active ourselves rather than expecting them to just join us is the way forward. But of course, everybody's got limited resources and capacities, and it's a lot. We got, as if nuclear war isn't a big enough problem. We got. But anyway,
Right. And right, it's to pose to pose it as these are twin existential threats, and they are both very much interrelated, and we are working on these both. Come work, work on these both. These.
Yeah, what do they think the climate would be like after nuclear bombs are going off?
Well, somebody
For
said
example.
it would solve all the climate questions.
Take care of global warming for you.
Yeah.
well,
and so
apparently,
there's-
Bill McGibbon is I don't know if he's written writing a new book or anything, but apparently
Good point.
he's very much talking about the way the climate is going to play out is with a nuclear war, because that's the risk that we're up against, all these divisions and competitions, and that's going to get us before the temperature does.
Yeah, we talk about. I mentioned. Well, there are a lot of events or activities that we're focused on, and I keep bringing up the issue of mining and testing as something that's related, and maybe that'll catch on.
Yeah, keep trying.
So, what else do you want, Peter?
Well, do you feel that you presented what you have to present about the new document and the coalition?
Well, unless you want me to go through the document, but I mean, you've all got access to it, and
Yeah, I don't think we need to do that. I think, the concept we're all clear on, and the details we don't need to do in a meeting.
yeah.
You're going to have a doodle poll to find the next meeting because you're up against a lot
Yep.
of organizations meetings trying to avoid all of them, right? That's going to be difficult. I'm wondering if a weekday evening, and then of course you're up against the time zone problem that
Right.
the members of the coalition are spread all over. So
Yep.
Yeah.
um,
Well, I think what you're doing is really good.
Yeah.
And strategically, it makes, perfect sense. And it's a matter of getting people to see that, I guess. And it might take a while. Unfortunately, we don't have a lot of time, but
Well, that's, this whole thing is about, the urgency of this, and, that we have to join forces to save the planet before it's too late, and that's
right.
that's the whole, anyway.
Okay, well, let's, this thing about Dolly Parton, I sent this to you. And I really wanted to bring that up. I mean, if anybody has a way to contact Dolly Parton specifically, that would be absolutely wonderful if she decided to come on, because she's about the biggest star that there is these days.
I didn't get anything about Dolly Parton. Send it to me.
It was with the link.
I know.
well, it was
Send
Yeah,
it- send
Peter,
it to me.
Peter, when you sent it, I was just looking to see if I could find Susan. And since you address it to localities and legislators, we can't tell who's getting it. And so we don't know if someone's missing or if we know
Actually,
somebody
you
who
can.
should be interested.
In fact, if it's a Google group, it's a Google group, right, Peter?
It is.
So you can go, there's a way of going into all your Google groups in your contacts if you're in
Yes.
Gmail.
Yes.
And it
see if
shows
they're
you
bouncing. You mean, yes.
all the no, I'm just saying to people, if you want to know who's in the same groups as you, there is a
Okay.
way through the contacts in Gmail
Oh, boy.
to look
Okay.
at all the Google groups you
Hated
remember of.
Gmail.
Anyway,
I've just sent it to you, Susan. So
right. So it's Dolly Parton singing in a very explosive.
It's a song called The World's on Fire.
Right, and she has a lot of fire, a lot of dancers, and you have to listen carefully to the words in her song.
Well, by the way, let me mention to you that if you scroll down a little ways just below the picture, there's a thing that says show more. And if you click on that, it'll show you all the lyrics.
Right, I seem to get into the comments. I didn't. I have
Well,
to
just
look again.
it's above that.
Above the comments, and okay.
So
There's a
one
thing in
of the
bold.
people that it has joined the coalition and is the co-founder of Code Pink, Jody Evans. Does anybody know her?
Yes,
Because she has a lot of contacts with Hollywood.
right.
And I don't know, she might have a way of getting to Dolly Parton. I don't know.
Well, that's a thought. That's definitely a,
We wrote to her about the Oppenheimer film because it stars Matt Damon, and Vicky wrote to her. She wrote back and said, "I'll have a word with Matt."
yeah, right.
So, just let me say with regard to that, there are two Oppenheimer things coming out in July. Okay, one is a documentary, and we got a bit confused in Disarm because our member Hideko Tamura, who is a Hibakusha who now lives in Oregon, said she was being interviewed for a film called Oppenheimer. And we couldn't resolve that with the knowledge that this was a Hollywood movie. Well, it's because there are two things, both called with the word Oppenheimer in them. She's in an MSNBC documentary that's going to be streamed. For those of you who've got cable and all that jiggery pokery, in July, and so this, and I, what I should do is go and put it in the chat. So, so, you know, so he's telling the story, you know, as a documentary. And this is a man who's made a lot of documentaries. And he's interviewed Hibakisha like Hideko. And he tells the story, you know, as a straightforward documentary. And then there's the totally dramatized version, which is the big Hollywood film, which has the same damn name. And so we need to
Thank
try
you.
to, pardon?
Thank you so much, Cheryl, for pointing that out, because we've been talking about Oppenheimer, and there are various people and groups who are all, you know, getting all involved in working on this and, you know, showing it or having discussions about it. And then we said, well, you know, maybe, and we brought this up at our nuclear disarm working group meeting on Sunday, and somebody's saying, well, you know, maybe, you know, this is a movie. We better, maybe they're not going to say what really we want them to say about it. And maybe we better be looking at this first. And
Right.
so now you are clarifying
Two
that,
things.
yes.
So let
Thank
me, I'm going
Well,
to
it
take a
is-
couple of minutes and I'm going to find my email where I clarified this for my disarm group. It's in my email. I just need to do a search, and then I'll give you
Thank you.
the two links. One's to the trailer, which I put in the notes from last time, and then the other is to the website of the documentary.
The trailer does not make clear exactly what the point of view is, but it suggests to me that it's going to be at least useful to us.
Yeah, I'm sure. Mhm, mhm.
You know, and there's probably going to be a lot of stuff about Oppenheimer's kerfuffle with the House Un-American Activities Committee and so forth. You know, and it's, you know, it may focus a lot more heavily on that than on the nuclear weapons issue, but I think that to the extent that it does focus on the nuclear weapons issue, it's likely to be helpful to us. Now we're talking about the Hollywood movie, we're not talking about the documentary, because that's you know, a biopic that I think is going to be really good, but it probably won't have as strong a point of view as, say, The Day After did. The reason I put this on the, yeah, I want to follow this up. The reason that I put this on the agenda, though, was hoping that somebody might have a connection, you know, and actually thank you for that Jody Evans suggestion. You know, I was hoping somebody might have a connection, but I also suggested to Ira Helfand when he was out here that Garth Brooks also has a video that made me think that he would be amenable to what we're talking about and what we're doing. He had a pretty strong song. I forget what the name of it was now. I need to look that up. But anyway, there's another person, and I think that we're never going to get off the ground here. We don't get some celebrities in our corner, because that's really what makes a lot of people take notice, is when there's people that they know and admire who come out and say this is important. So I really want to ask us to focus a little of attention on who we know who might be a good person, and whether there's any way that we can reach those people. So Dolly Parton, Garth Brooks, Matt Damon are three people that seem important to me. I mean, in the 80s, we had quite a number of these folks who came out: Chris Christopherson, Terry Garr, the scientist Carl Sagan,
Michael Douglas.
huh?
Michael Douglas has been.
Yeah, I don't remember him coming out about it, but certainly Martin Sheen heavily.
Yeah.
And And of course, Ellsberg was out at the test site all the time. And so there were a whole bunch of them that showed up. Casey Kasem, the disc jockey, who at that time was the most listened to person on the planet, if you can believe that. So, you know, when he came out to the test site, and I don't know whether he ever said anything on his radio show, but if he did, you know, millions and millions of people listen to that top 40, or used to listen to that top 40 show that he made famous. So I think people like that made a huge difference for us back then. And I think they could again, if we can begin to reach out to these folks. And I talked this over with Ira, and he agreed that it was an important thing to do. He hadn't thought of Garth Brooks, but I don't know whether, you know, whether he remembered to do anything about that, or, you know, anything. Anyway, so does anybody have any, has anybody seen anything from a celebrity that makes you think that they would be helpful to us if we could get them to say something?
Well, again, there are lots more celebrities supporting the climate issue.
Yeah, Jane
So,
Fonda is a perfect
yeah,
one.
Jane Fonda,
And she would be another person who could come out on this one too.
Right.
One
she
would
gets
think,
into
based
it.
on what's happened with her during the Vietnam War, that she would understand this really well. That's a good suggestion.
And there's a singer, I'm forgetting his name. I don't listen to him, but he comes out against war stuff. You know, that
you mean the Pink Floyd?
Not-
No.
there's a single guy. It's a single guy. One guy. He's got
Hopefully more than one, but let's think of all of them.
concerts and
Anyway, I put in the chat the two links, one to the documentary and the other to the IMDb page about the dramatic film. Okay. And it's the streaming, it's Peacock, which is the streaming service of NBC, which means it'll appear if you can look at it through your computer, but I think you have to pay to look at Peacock. I don't look at Peacock, but
I'm not seeing this in the chat. Have you?
No, you haven't put it in the chat yet.
oh,
but
did I forget to say send? Here we
There you
go.
go.
Pardon me.
you can get a free trial for things like Peacock and then cancel it afterwards, because we've done that before.
Okay, there you are. So what it means about being a streaming, it means it's there for a long time. It's not like on cable network TV where you need to watch at 9 o'clock on Sunday, else you miss it. It means it's there all the time for a long time. Anyway, we are going to find out more about it as we get closer to July, and so we are going to be advertising it through Wilf.
Mhm.
Cheryl, could you possibly send that as an email
Yes.
to us?
Yes, I will send an email about it. I'll just have to modify what I sent to my disarm.
If I'm still in this Google group.
So
I think
With
everybody
regards-
should be prepared for being very disappointed by the take on both these films, because I think that we're going to find that they're first of all glorifying Oppenheimer is the primary thing, and secondly, you know, towing the line that, you know, I mean, like the one you just sent us is called, you know, To End All War, as if the atom bomb has ended war, you know, and I think there's going to be all
well,
kinds of crap
yeah,
coming out, you know, because that's the line that
but
you
if you
know.
look at who is interviewed, if you go to that website, look at who he's interviewed, you will see a lot of people we know who are anti-nuclear weapons, okay? Including,
I'm just saying, be prepared for not getting what you want.
well,
Yeah,
Issue
Hideko's
Kaku, a very strong voice against nuclear weapons.
Mhm. To me, it was a good selection of people that he's interviewed.
Okay.
I don't know a lot of those names, but certainly Michio Kaku would be a strong voice on our side.
I think one of the criticisms or the question about Oppenheimer, and again, whether it was the movie or the documentary, was that, and I think perhaps Timon or Peter, you mentioned this, that it would focus heavily on the House Un-American Activities Committee and, being brought up, and that it was so unjust because of course he wasn't a communist, and so it had a flavor of, I'm not one of those, which
Yeah. I'm afraid that could be a big chunk of it. But, remains to be seen. But at the very least, it's a tabling opportunity because people are going to be thinking about nuclear weapons when they come out of that theater. Probably more than they've thought about them in 30 years.
Well, we're having to deal with the Oliver Stone came out with, about the about nuclear power.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the blowback, or what should be blowback to that.
Yeah.
It's for military. If and when it ever happens, it'll be for military, not for any fossil fuel deliverance.
Anyway, so you had said, I mean, how are we going to, it's not that long now till July the 31st, right? So last time we talked about tabling and watch
21st.
parties.
21st.
Pardon?
July 21st.
Sorry, July 21st. It's nevertheless, it's not very far. So if we want to get people to do that, I think we have to start talking about it very soon.
Yeah, we are talking about it here in Salem.
I mean, talking to our organizations, I certainly will be talking to Wilf about it and trying to get our members. But how do you organize a watch party when it's a film in a cinema? You try to get a bunch of people to go to the same cinema at the same time. Is that what you mean by a watch party?
Well, that isn't what I meant by a watch party, but that would be probably the only way to do it in this case. The watch parties that happened in the 80s were facilitated by the fact that they made the film available to people to show in local meeting halls and things like that. At the time when the day after came out, a lot of people saw it the same night through these watch parties, which were held all over the country.
Right. But in this case, you'd get people to, because it's in a commercial cinema, you've got to get a group of people to go watch it.
Who were willing to mortgage their firstborn in order to get into the theater.
and then they could quickly leave at the end and have a table outside on the sidewalk.
Sure.
I was seeing something from John Pope about organizing this, nationally, and people.
Now he's moved to, who did he move to?
Well, he was Rethink Media, and then he was with Roots Action, doing stuff with Defuse Nuclear. I don't know what he's doing right now.
No.
He's now at the Bulletin of Atomic Scientists.
Bulletin.
Scientists, right? They're the one we need to.
Yeah.
Would you stick that link in the chat, Susan?
I don't know how to do that, but I can try to find the.
Well, again, just to be aware that John Pope and Emma Belcher from the Plowshares Fund and all these big shots from the sort of arms control community are all putting a lot of resources into the Oppenheimer film because they see it as a fundraising opportunity, primarily, to get people who are interested in the issue to to go onto their, Global Zero and Plowshares Fund and Arms Control Association.
Mm.
So if we really want people to take action and be more serious about it than just, sign up to the same old arms control stuff, we need to just be aware that they've got the resources behind them to do this already.
So how
Okay,
are they
right.
using it as a fundraiser?
Yeah.
Well, they're trying to get, so one of the things that we talked about here is that, if you put things on your website or on Twitter or something that mention Oppenheimer, then the more you do that, the more people, when they're looking for the film, they'll see other things about nuclear disarmament, and that's what the big organizations are doing, which have a lot more money to do that. They're sort of optimizing their outreach so that when people click on Oppenheimer, they get, come join Global Zero, come, find out about nuclear weapons from Arms Control Association or whatever. Now we can't really compete with that because they're
Right. Well, that's
big.
interesting because I give them money. I'm going to be at the annual general meeting on June
Global
whatever it
Zero,
is.
Arms Control Association. Who's they?
Arms Control Association. I give money to all of them. I give enough money to Plowshares that I went to their
You don't
lunch.
give any money to us, Cheryl. Give us some money.
But yeah, I try to make it 501c3 so it's tax deductible. But I went to that Plowshares lunch where we heard Rose Guttmuller and a lady from some institute in Monterey talk about, arms control. Nobody mentioned Oppenheimer, the film. Okay. And I get all of Daryl Kimball's tweets and he's not mentioned the Oppenheimer film and all, it's mostly been about the G7 and the very disappointing.
Yeah, sure. They're busy with that, but the next thing is going to be Oppenheimer. You'll see.
You think I'm going to start seeing that?
Oh yeah.
Oh,
Okay.
yes.
Well,
I just sent something to Peter to send to everybody, which was a thing from John Pope.
Okay.
right.
IGC one? To my IGC account?
Oh, I don't know.
Anyway, so it's
Probably.
well, it's one of those things. I think as long as it brings people's attention to nuclear weapons in whatever way, has some benefit to it, and Plowshares gets. I mean, they're a foundation. They're supposed to raise money to give money away.
Yes.
There's lots of money and lots of resources going into, in my opinion, maintaining people's acceptance of nuclear weapons. Thinking that we can tweak around the edges and do this and do that, and we can just keep them forever and make it safer and all the rest of it. And they're not about getting rid of them. Even Global Zero, which has it in its title, Zero, they're not at all about getting rid of nuclear weapons. And they call themselves the Global Nuclear Disarmament Movement, and they're attracting all this attention and getting young people through their various channels. I don't think it is all the same personally, but we don't have any control over that, so we got to do what we can do on our end.
Okay, well, I see them slightly differently.
And I do have to go in a minute, so I don't
Yes,
know.
too. Yes. Sorry, I made you divert from that. So Peter, you're going to try to reach Jody Evans regarding Hollywood people?
Yeah, I'll probably try and go through somebody else in Code Pink to get to her, because I don't know her personally. I know who she is. I probably met her once, but I've met Medea a number of times, and I'll try. I still don't know if she knows who I am, but she might. And then there's some other Code Pink people I know. Anyway, I'm putting this thing that at least the link that was at the top of the page in the chat right now, the one that Susan just sent to me. Is that the one?
Yeah. Okay. And then, oh,
looks like
Cheryl,
it-
you're gonna send
Looks
stuff.
like it didn't all turn into a link. So
Sorry.
Free base camp.
you might
I'll
have to
try to
copy the whole.
remember, I'll try to get the
Yep.
name of this singer
You
who,
have to sign into Basecamp 4 to see what that is.
Right. So what was that? What was that, Peter?
What? Well, this is the thing that Susan just sent me. That she said she doesn't know how to put it into the chat, but she sent me a PDF, and at the top of the PDF it says what I just put in the chat.
yeah,
Okay. So, because again, the notes from what I took from the last meeting in April mentioned basecamp.com, and I know that that's used by some people for messaging. But it was anyway. So
Yeah, you should all know about this if you're not already on it. It's called Aligning Action or something like that, and it's set up by the Plowshares Fund, and they invited loads of organizations to be on it, but it's mainly those big ones, Bulletin of Atomic Scientists, Plowshares, Arms Control.
so
You look at-
who invited who?
Well, I got invited from Peace Action, which is presumably how Susan is on it.
And it's called Aligning Action.
Aligning Action, and it's a base camp thing that Susan just sent through. If you look on it, you'll see who all the organizations are that are talking about Oppenheimer. I mean, it's all the ones that I just mentioned. Nuclear Threat Initiative, Partner for Strategy, Policy and Partnerships. I don't know what that is. Emma Belcher, Joe Scary. Does anybody know who that is?
Yeah,
But I have to log in. It
I
says
wonder
that-
if that's
You have to- I
Elaine
think you have to be
Scary's
invited.
brother.
Yeah, is he?
I think it's Elaine Scary's brother.
Okay. Well, I don't know how you get in it if you're not already invited. Do you know?
Yeah.
Susan? Are you in
No.
it, Peter?
base camp?
Yeah.
No, I
Aligned action thing.
just went to that thing and then you have to log in somehow and
Now it says Basecamp 4. Doesn't even say Basecamp 3.
Yeah,
right, it does.
So
So I don't know what
there's
to do.
135 people on here. I don't know how you get added. Let's see.
So Peter, when you got that from me and you clicked on it, did it open up for you?
No, I had to copy and paste it into a browser.
And then it says log in to Basecamp 4 or sign in with Google or use my email address.
Yeah.
Because it just opened up when I clicked on that link on the icon, it
Oh, on
opened.
the icon.
Yeah, go on the icon.
Oh, I'll try that.
Which icon?
no,
Dr.
you have to be a member to get in there.
Oh.
And Susan and
Yeah,
I are
well, it's going to the same place.
through Mappa.
Yeah,
I'll
maybe.
see if I can find the email and send it to you all, but I don't know whether you can.
There's another email in this thing. It says, "Hi all, we're going to lean pretty heavily." This is from John Pope. We're going to lean pretty heavily into our editorial role with
Yeah.
lots of new articles, archival articles. We've got some great stuff from the 50s and 60s that I'm excited to republish, and hopefully a video series. In fact, we just put out an article from Oppenheimer's grandson, and then there's a link to that. And that's the one I just put in the chat.
Oh,
The
yeah,
the one that says the bulletin, and his grandson explains why Oppenheimer, etc. Anyway,
yeah, stuff from Lily. Who talks about it.
yeah, that's underneath there.
Yeah,
The action.
but there are 11 pages. Boy.
11 pages of what? In which
of
one?
all of this
Yeah,
about
you have
about
to,
Oppenheimer.
Yeah. Okay, so I got I got an email from Kevin Martin,
Yeah,
Peace Action, inviting me to the thing. So I don't know how you get on it if you're not invited. And I don't know how controlled they are about who they want to be in it. Or I don't really know, but there are some random people in it. I mean, like me. Susan, maybe, I mean, you're more officially MAPPA. Maybe you can find out how to invite more people on it or something.
Yeah, I mean, when I clicked on it, it says log into Basecamp 4.
Yeah.
But of course, I'm not. So I just got, I was just opened up all that stuff that Peter, you started to read to us. I have no idea. I
you're
guess
not-
I can ask. I'll ask Cole.
Yeah,
That's
Cole,
cool.
Cole must be on it.
Yeah.
Well, this bulletin thing that I just sent you does open up an article in the Bulletin of the Atomic Scientists
Mm-hmm.
for me. His grandson explains why Oppenheimer remains important today, by Charles Oppenheimer.
Right.
So if you want to click on that, you can in the chat.
Um, Action, grassroots coordination, message board journal, open meeting invitation. Open meeting, May 4th.
Well, I don't know, my philosophy tends to be there's so much information out there that's readily accessible that if somebody's going to put something behind a paywall or some other kind of obstruction that I need to kill myself to get into, I'm probably not going to go there unless it's
Right. They
been
have to
been
pay us.
persuaded that it's really important.
Right. Okay,
So,
well, I've got to leave you
Yeah.
all, but thanks everybody, and we'll see you next time.
okay, thanks for your update, Tim.
Yep.
Okay, and when is the next meeting?
Well, it's only Tim that has to leave at the moment.
It's only me
although-
leaving.
Oh, yeah, I should leave too.
Yeah.
When
Well,
is
the next meeting is, I put it in the chat before you got in here. It's the 27th of June, usual time.
So-
Okay,
Um,
7th, June
we
27th.
are. All right. So Ellen
So-
Thomas is in Costa Rica at the moment. So that's why she's not here. But she said it's Ellen Thomas,
Oh.
who normally joins this, another
Mhm.
Wilf disarmer.
Right.
She and I are going to try to encourage some of our disarm members to come to this planning meeting. It's obvious that, there's 30 odd people in the Google group, and there's 7 or 8 of us who come.
Uh-huh.
So you're sure? Okay. I talked about finding people in the Google groups. You want me to see if you're in there, Susan?
Yes, and actually, I'd love to know how to do that.
Yes, I'm just looking that up now.
Yes,
I'm sure she's in there.
yeah.
I had, what I did when I was searching for it, and I was a little bit late, I searched under L&L, and then I had to go to localities instead, and then it came up in my email and so on and so forth. But
What about legislators?
well, I use localities because it's the only group that ever uses localities in any amount of time, any number of times. Whereas
Right.
legislators, who knows how many things you get.
Right.
Localities.
Do
No
you have a
message.
spam file, Susan?
I
Oh,
looked at
there's that.
spam.
Good
You
old
did.
spam.
I did, I
Okay,
looked
well,
at
I'm not sure why you didn't get it, but
localities.
Cheryl's
Okay.
checking. Cheryl's checking.
I'm trying to remember how to do it. I'm sorry, folks.
I can do it.
Where do you go to look at Google groups? I forget.
You go to
Yes.
groups.google,
Right.
What is it?
groups.google.com,
Groups.
and it then it says my groups.
Groups.
And
Groups. Dot
And
Google
you go
dot
down
com.
to, you scroll down to the localities and legislators, which is right.
Right.
there.
My
And
group.
then
So
you,
I'm in, yeah,
then you got to
Yeah.
go down to members on the left there.
right.
And we look up Susan Mirsky.
Funny,
What's your email, Susan?
SMIRSKY.
You're not there.
That's
You're
true.
dropped. You're dropped.
See, that's what I
Yeah.
thought. I'm not going to take this personally, Peter, but you know,
Well, that's good. I'm glad you're
Yeah.
not. Tell me your, it's SMRSK.
ISKY 7
Oh,
at
7
gmail.com.
at Gmail.
Yes, gmail.com.
All
But-
right.
But how
Okay.
did you know about this previously, Susan?
Well, because I had it in my calendar or on my telephone calendar, and I had it as 6 because I had always had it incorrectly at 6, and then I didn't
Susan
see,
Mirsky 6?
and then I went to
But it was
look. and-
6:30.
Yeah, and then I went to look, but I looked at it before, like 5:30 or something like that, or whenever my last meeting ended. No, it was 5:45, and then I
Okay, you're there now.
yeah. So then I
Yay.
sent Peter a message saying, "Oh, it's on my calendar," but I didn't get an announcement. And then I went out to say hello to the day, which I have not been out. And then I came back and I got a message from Peter saying, "Oh yes, we are meeting today," but he hadn't put in a Zoom link. So then I sent him
Right.
an email saying, "Great, but I need the Zoom link." But I realized if he's running this meeting, he's not going to be looking at his emails.
Oh,
So then I had to
Cheryl left.
Correct.
So
send a
Cheryl
text
left,
to-
so I can't ask her this, Peter. Can you send us the list of the members that are in that Google group, or have you gone away from it now after all that trouble that you went through to get to
No,
it?
I'm in it.
Oh, good.
That's cool.
And that
He's
way we
just-
can look and see if we can tell whether there's anybody else who's missing or who would absolutely want to be knowing about this group and would
let's
participate,
see, can I do that?
might participate. We hope.
Yes, it's
Probably an
Ruth.
export thing someplace here, but
Oh, boy.
let's
Can't
see.
just copy and paste. Oh, Cheryl's back.
Well,
Well,
I'd have to do it one at a time, and there's,
okay, well, Cheryl, can
There's a
you,
lot
do
of
you
them.
still have the list? Cheryl, do you still have the list in front of you
The
of the Google group members?
Google group list?
The list of our members.
I've got the
Yes.
list. What do you want to know?
I want a copy of it to us so that we can see whether there's somebody else we can tell is missing. Either
Yeah.
because they got lost like Susan, or because they haven't been asked to join yet.
Oh,
Well, there's all kinds of.
I don't see a place to export the list.
No,
Lot
and I see, when I went on to this, groups, my groups, 70 groups, I see
right,
it's
now
the groups, a
31.
list of the groups, and then it says join date and subscription, but it doesn't give
Right.
a list of that.
Of the members.
Wait, maybe
Yeah, no, they're all there.
Obviously, Peter
in our-
and or Cheryl found the list of the members because.
On the
they're
left,
telling us that
there's
they're not
a
on
thing
it.
that says people, and under that it says members, and you click
People.
on that. And
Yeah,
it'll show
so
you
now-
members.
And you added Susan
I
and now
got,
she's
I
there.
got it.
Oh, wait,
Yeah,
here's
thank
the
you.
download.
Yeah,
Here's the
members.
download
Can
thing.
any of the three of you who are looking at it make a copy of it and send it to the rest?
Yeah, I
of
just
us?
figured it out.
Great.
How do
Yay.
How'd you do it?
Thank you.
Up where it says add members, do you see that? Or maybe you don't have that. 'cause
No,
you're-
no, you're the owner, so only you can add members, but now she,
Oh,
you
Okay.
can't see it, Joan?
I'm not even trying. You all, 3 or 4 people are already doing it, and I do not like working with Google groups, and so I am not even trying.
Are
Thank
are you just Joan?
Pardon me?
I'm looking, there's a Joan. I don't see,
Joan at
you,
Joan at rujo.org.
Joan@rujo.org.
That's
yes.
it.
Okay, so you're on there. So,
That's
I
restaurant.
mean, there's a bunch of people that, are reps on there. Kathy Altman, Holly Berry,
Yeah, Holly
Helen,
couldn't make it this time.
Helen
She
Jacquard, who's the
sent me a,
Golden Rule person, Denise Duffield, she's PSR, Christian Chabono is the Nuclear Age Peace Foundation. Bruce
Right,
Shea
he
is,
stopped coming. Does anybody know why he stopped coming?
well, it's because he's too busy. He
Right, he is busy, that's for sure.
Brandy
Aren't
Wine.
we all?
So anyway, there's 31 of us, and I'm hoping that other people do read the stuff when it comes.
And you're not finding anybody by looking through the list that somebody we should remind or make a special reach out to or something like that.
Well, I could imagine several people.
well, here is the list of email addresses. And but I'm just going to send it to Joan and to anybody else who on this call who wants it.
Margaret,
Uh,
Marguerite,
Sure, you might as well send it to me too, then I'd have it.
Who was that?
To me,
Marguerite.
Margaret.
Grit,
Okay,
sorry.
Yeah,
I will
It's
send it.
spelled Grit, isn't it?
yeah.
No E on the end.
A lot of people say Marguerite.
I will send it to you, Margaret, and I will send it to Joan, but I'm not going to send it out to the whole list because
Right.
that would
Some
be
of us can see it.
kind of a violation.
Susan and Cheryl, so that they don't have to look for it again when they want to.
Yeah, especially
about it.
since I'm not on that's not one of my Google group lists.
Do you guys want it?
Yeah, I
I
would
don't
like
need it. You're on it now, Susan. He's added you. I see you're on it.
Okay,
That's good.
And let's see, Cheryl.
No.
Okay.
So anyway,
Okay, so this is
And
going
I
to say
wanna
L and
do-
L
Sorry.
members.
let's say, I don't know.
and these are people who, chose to be in this based on when, we had the nuclear ban treaty
Right.
celebrations when it first came into force, right? And there was an enormous number of people, and then we divided ourselves depending on what we wanted to concentrate on. And
Okay.
so
What
some people
geographic,
wanted to concentrate on, pardon?
geographic and otherwise,
Well, and we decided we wanted to work on legislation, getting things like the Norton Bill
Yeah.
more visible.
Mhm.
Anyway, so
Okay,
And I just want to let you all know that with some struggle, I was finally able to get the World on Fire lyrics into an email text.
Oh, great.
And selected ones of the comments that were positive about her doing something like this, having this kind of song. Do you want me to send it to you?
Yes,
If
please.
so,
I'd like the lyrics.
I have Peter and Cheryl's email addresses, and Susan's is your name at Gmail.
it's
No,
S.
it's Mirsky 7.
Oh, plus, what?
S Mirsky 7.
What's the number?
the number 7.
7.
Okay,
Oh, all right,
great.
7.
great. Okay.
Yeah, and mine is margaret.deal@gmail.
Your
Okay.
name at Gmail.
Thank
Yeah,
you
with a
very
dot.
much.
You now have all that information in your email.
Right, coming to me. Thank you very much.
Peter, did you talk about the ad, the upshot of the, what came out of this group?
Oh,
The letter.
Peace in Ukraine.
The letter to the presidents.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
No, we
Yeah.
are
Um,
supposed to be delivering that tomorrow to your local representatives.
Yeah,
No, we didn't talk about it.
okay.
No, we haven't talked about it. Would you like to talk about it?
No, no, we just did. I'm doing it on Thursday, but other people are doing it on Wednesday.
Well, there were quite a few do you know the number of groups, the final number of groups that?
I forget.
100.
I thought it was 100, yeah.
Yeah, so and there's a PDF that shows you the mock-up of what it will look like. I don't know if it will really look like that in a newspaper, but he has, some of the famous people who've signed it talking about famous people.
Hmm. It's going to be in the newspaper?
In
The Hill. There's a newspaper called The Hill.
Oh,
Which we are-
the congressional one.
The
Yeah.
people
They wound up raising about $10,000 or plus to do that. But they only got about 8,000 signatures, I think, was the last I saw.
but they've highlighted the famous people. Speaking about famous people, I just can't bring it up. Oh God,
They didn't put on your name?
no. We're in as we're in as the Women's International League for Peace and Freedom. Did you not all get this? Are you not in the PIU email list?
They got it through here.
Yeah.
At the very
So,
least.
yeah. So I'm going to go with, some of my Wilf Branch. We're going to just turn up at our representative's office tomorrow with hard copy of that one and the New York Times 1-page ad, all squished into 8.5 by 11. And the cover letter that Marcy gave us a sample of, which I will modify. And, specifically, you're asking your congressional rep to support, a ceasefire and not to vote anymore for any more weapons money. So that's why you're going to the congressional. And then in case they're all in Washington, D.C., but in case they don't read their Hill, you're giving them the ad and I'm hoping that it will be there tomorrow. Anyway, so there are 69 different towns listed in a special Google Doc, that 69 different towns where people are committed to go visit their reps tomorrow. Okay. And there were 69 last time I looked.
And I just put in the chat a Counterpunch article that I wrote about
Okay.
this, that has all the links in it that you're liable to want.
Okay,
All right.
thank you.
Better save that.
So anyway,
I just
the
that our anti-nuclear group had an appointment with our congressman, who is a MAGA Republican, and we spoke with his aide. It was on Zoom because they're all in Washington. And he was he listened and was very accommodating and promised us that he would talk to the congressman and also have this PowerPoint, which I've sent to you all, but we have not heard back, and it's been probably at least 4 weeks now.
I'm shocked,
So we're
I tell you.
Yeah, so I just wanted to throw that in.
Yeah.
Another little thing I also wanted to mention, we had Medea Benjamin here, and in fact, she and her partner stayed at my house, and I tell you, it was wonderful. She is just so terrific and unassuming and powerful, and she spoke at the university, and she spoke to a big meeting of our Peace Council. We got a lot of people out, and So we also had, well, Vincent Intondi was coming to the university, who wrote that book, Black African Americans Against the War, which is a fantastic book. And actually Medea didn't know about it and was I had a copy here.
Yeah, really?
Yeah, she was very interested, of course. And anyway, now Intunde was here talking about his new book, which is all about the big in the 80s.
freeze.
Demonstration.
The
The
free,
movement.
yeah, the movement.
Right, right.
What happened, yeah.
So I just am mentioning that as another person to be involved with and with all this history and so on. I
Well,
missed.
I just want to say, just to interrupt you for a second, we had Vincent Intonde come and got some blowback from it.
Yeah.
And this is a while ago, this is in March, and he or when the book first came out, and so he was coming to Boston area, and so we had him. No, we did it on Zoom rather, but we had to wait until it first came out, and he said that he was actually not against, or he was basically for sending more weapons to Ukraine.
Oh, did he say that?
That came out, and so he gave a wonderful presentation about the whole movement and the struggle, and you saw that the development of the Freeze campaign and the intricacies and how it the controversies and people fighting with each other that it eventually happened, and then discussion, questions and answers. And in the very beginning, somebody asked the unfortunate question of, well, what do you think about Ukraine? Because I moderated it, and it was put in terms of, this was then, and Intande is going to talk about then, to help us understand now and what we can be doing now in our peace movement. So somebody asked that question, and he responded with that. And there were things in the chat, and then somebody else wrote an email saying, I am never gonna, go to another meeting again. and Vincent, I thought he was a good person, but he obviously isn't. Where is his head? So just to let you know. So
I missed his talk here and the discussion. I don't know where it was, but I had to miss it. And so I couldn't say anything to, let's see, I can't remember. I think he came after Medea had been here probably. Anyway, well, she'll find out.
So yeah, I just brought up the PDF of this advert and looking at what they listed as prominent signers. Okay, and Roger Waters.
That's
is
it.
A musician and co-founder of Pink Floyd. He has signed this. Okay?
Right. That's a guy I was thinking of. The musician.
Right. Roger Waters.
Roger Waters.
How do you spell it?
Waters. Roger.
Roger Waters.
Co-founder of Pink Floyd. Now, Marcy Winograd is the person one of the people who leads the Peace in Ukraine Coalition. So she and Ryan Black, worked very hard on this ad to get these people. Chris Hedges has signed it, Jesse Jackson has signed it. Dennis Kucinich has signed it. Ray McGovern has signed it. I'm giving you the ones that, Jeffrey Sachs has signed it. But the only Noam Chomsky has signed it. Daniel Ellsberg has signed it. Jody Evans has signed it. Anne Wright has signed it. The only musician entertainer is Roger Waters.
Yeah, he's good. We've wondering if he will give us some money. He is good.
Right. So anyway, they spent a lot of time. In fact, they delayed giving it to the rest of us so we could take it, print it, and take it to our congressional offices tomorrow. They delayed it because they were trying to get these people on board, which they did. Anyway, so
Good.
I have now missed, I went to see this play, this film about what they call prophetic, what was it? All the Catholic priests and nuns who have got into
Oh, yeah.
various facilities and hammered things and smeared things and been to prison. There was a film about them that was shown from 2 to 3:30 here, and then people like Jackie Capasso was going to be talking about it, but anyway, on Zoom. So
Oh,
I've
we're
now
just about out of
I
time
watched
now.
that too, and then I couldn't find it again.
Well, actually, we have I just saw there was a press release that Cole was putting out. It's going to go out in the AM about the petition.
right. So Marcy wrote a sample press release and sent it to us all yesterday.
Yeah,
I-
and all the
I
people
made it-
who signed on.
I've made it for Palo Alto, and I've asked one of my Wolf members to send it, and I'm not hearing from her, so I have to go and nudge her again. Yeah, they've tried. They're doing very well in providing us with all the materials to
Yeah.
facilitate this and get, get it into the
Yeah.
congressional. It's so much of what we do depends ultimately on what Congress thinks and does and their attitude. So, which is why,
I don't think this one has much to do with that.
that
Okay.
Congress is the ones who are voting to send more weapons.
Yeah,
Right.
they're all doing it.
Yeah. So going and talking to them and trying to tell them that many of your constituents don't want you to do that, because that's what they tell us. We only hear from certain people, and then that's what we think the rest of you believe. So
Susan,
She's
Gone.
gone.
she's
Oh,
leaving.
she had to leave.
Yeah, it's good
No,
to have
we're
some
about out of time.
well-known
So,
names.
I just want to say I'll do my best with the minutes, but there was an awful lot of information that came out here. So I'll just do
well,
what I
it's been
can.
I'll
recorded.
send you the recording.
Oh, good. So people can go
when it-
back and fill in the holes.
When I get the recording, I'll
can.
send it to you, Margaret.
Well, I can, right?
Did you hear
Oh,
that?
you'll send me the recording. Oh, okay. I see.
That'll
And
help
Zoom,
some.
and Zoom actually gives you a transcript. Doesn't always make sense, but in the right-hand column, you'll have the,
I have saved chat here.
yeah, that's good. But then when you get the recording, according to how Peter sets it up, they also, through their software, listen to what we all say, and then they put it in the transcript, which is on the
Ah.
right-hand side.
Let's see.
No, you're not there yet. You're not there
When I
yet.
send you-
When
when I
he
send you
sends
the
you the
When you send
recording,
it. Oh, okay, okay.
not
Yeah.
there yet.
Okay.
All right, good, thank you.
But don't take it with a grain of salt, because
Right.
it doesn't all, peace. When you say peace, it says P-I-E-C-E. It doesn't
Right.
know you mean
Oh, right.
P-E-A-C-E. It
Doesn't-
doesn't know how to spell Cheryl my way because it's such a strange way, and so on and so forth. So,
Oh, it'll certainly misspell my name, so.
yes.
Right.
Okay, friends, it's
Okay, thank you very much.
time to go. So
everybody.
thank you very all.
Thank
for your
you. All
time.
right.
Thank
We'll
you.
keep it.
Have a good
We'll
rest of
see
the
you
day.
in some other
Actually
meeting, I'm
save the
sure.
chat one more time.
Bye-bye.
Right.